The Great Law of Love and the 12 Cosmic Rays of the Solar Planes by Archangel Michael, Lord Mikaal, Guardian of our Earth. At the heart of sovereignty, the great law of God is the law of love. Some refer to it as the Word of God, others as the voice of Spirit. It is immaterial, for all is love. Through this great law do those of Spirit contact us. They cannot say, "You must." They can only lean gently over each soul and whisper, "Do it for the sake of love." Through this law are rulers and kings appointed, and through the abuse of this law do many dictators rule. Love is God, love is life, love is beauty and peace. It lies in a perfume, it lies in the gentle smile of a child, it lies in a flower, and above all, it lies in God's gentle means of the treatment of mankind in his great law of love. Free will is an offspring of it, conscience is its handmaiden, and the pure worship of oneness is its fruit. The law of love is the breath of the Am. It is of a brilliant silver quality, shot with the blue of power and the scarlet of mysticism. All cosmic rays are contained within its makeup, and it operates somewhat in this manner. The adorable love pours from the heart of the eternal Father-Mother and casts its scintillating beauty towards the solar planes, where each plane receives it and redirects it to the different planets, where each living soul should receive it and hold it pressed tightly to the heart. The fruits of this act of receiving should be tolerance, love for others, a blindness to their faults, a gentleness to the sick and young, and above all, a great reaching out to the giver of this love stream. It is God, it is light and love. With an adoring recognition of his love rightness in daily matters, and a collective human resolve to work within the law of love, our world would become a place of beauty, and a peace which passes understanding would cover the face of the earth. Wars and revolutions, murder and rape, lies and anger, all would cease. Universal love will reign, and we will all hear the still small voice of love law within. Self will disappear, to be replaced by a great obedience to love. God is love, he is beauty and perfume. From his adorable 12 fingers flow all the love essences to meet in such a stream of love light upon the hearts of those who can hear. Sex does not enter into love, coinage does not form part of it. It is God, it is light and life. It is hued as a rainbow, perfumed as a lily, and is blinding silver in colour. Thus is the Godhead dazzling. The law of love is simple. A child may conform to it. It is as follows: love your neighbour, and do unto others as you would be done unto, and love God. So with a brief description, let me introduce you to the cosmic rays and the solar planes of intense light where love dwells, and all spirit beings are held in a willing thrall by the great law of love. Each cosmic ray is controlled and directed by an adept, and from them were born, from God, the androgynous beings who live in the solar planes. The bodies of these beings are of silver, and glitter with the brightness and warmth of love. They live in perpetual adoration of the Godhead, and are intensely busy people. Forever are they working in an intense love for God and each other, as well as a love and admiration for the master of their solar plane. They are not human as we are, only high spirit. But as we are to each other a reality, so to them is spirit just as real. From the beloved breath of God outflow the essences of the solar planes. Josias, whom we know as Jesus and Yeshua, is Lord of the first solar plane and controller of the cosmic ray of life and love. He is the greatest adept and the greatest of the sons of God. His great silver essence, atrium or radium, is the one cosmic essence which permeates the whole. He is the light of the world and the most potent force in the universe, the ray of life and love that holds all God essences. On the first solar plane, we must try to imagine a place of such beauty that cannot be explained in words. Picture to yourself a silver mist, warm and perfumed. Now go into that mist, which is real and vibrating. See there the androgynous silver ones who ever wait on their Lord's commands. There are children too, who are born by the breath, and they are brought up as workers for the silver ray of God. The ether glitters with atrium. The great love ray is shot with myriads of cosmic colors. See the great generating stations of the ray, tall pinnacles of silver, which transmit the ray to every planet and every human in the universe. It leaves these powerhouses of God through the hands of solar scientists, who under instructions of Josias direct it to the parts of the universe where it is most needed. None can live without it, and not one of us would know decay were we but filled with it. Amenha is Lord of the second solar plane and controller of the yellow ray of physical sight and spirit sight. The solar plane is a soft yellow with a Kasoma web of silver from the love plane of Josias. Here the question of sight is gone into. The doctors work experimentally, testing all the things that matter in connection to sight, so that the final results are given through spiritual means to earth mortals. It leaves the solar plane in particles and penetrates the physical eye to the inner eye, the pineal gland. It reaches us in a dim state of yellow as it plays upon the outer and inner retina of sight, for both outer and inner eyes would be unable to bear the full light of silver. It governs clairvoyance, and sometimes it is necessary in a medium that the physical sight is dimmed in order to concentrate the sight ray more fully upon the inner vision. Occultists handle this ray unconsciously, else they could not, under any circumstance, understand their work. It acts upon the unborn child. It acts upon all spirit life. It is the glance of the God eye, directed to man in glittering yellow particles, to enable us to see life, to see spirit, and thus, in spirit, see God. Without it, we would be blind. Ithuriel is Lord of the third solar plane and controller of the green ray of nature growth. It is the only ray which is not generated in the great powerhouses of the solar planes. It is generated in the heart of Josias, and it is he who passes the ray to Ithuriel through the fourth finger of his right hand. The nature ray is the outward sign of the love of Josias. It falls like glittering green dewdrops, and as it sinks gently into the earth, a new plant life takes shape. A little flower heart is conceived by the action of the ray upon the fertile soil. All the cosmic rays touch upon nature growth. Each ray gives its own color, red, yellow, blue, and amethyst. Each plant is designed, every color petal, every breath of perfume, all are ordained by the oneness, thought out by Josias, and executed by Ithuriel. Imagine then that all nature life is born of love. It is then touched by growth and creative forces, tinged with perfume, and finally raises its sweetness to the light and air of God-breath. The pollinating of the flowers, the breaking of the sheaths round the sleeping bloom, the uncurling of a petal, And all these smaller works are done by the little people or fairies under the instructions from the nature masters, beings who work for ethereal, but beings not in human form. Franchala, known to us as Archangel Gabriel, is Lord of the fourth solar plane and controller of the scarlet ray of mysticism and the language of the eternal God. It is the fire essence of the silver ray and one of the most vital of the cosmic rays. It is generated through the breath of Franchala, which is poured upon the great generating towers of the fourth plane. From there it leaves the towers and pierces the solar planes straight to the heart of Josias, then sent out from him, the red shot with silver, to all planets and planes. It acts upon the inner mind of man. It enables to see the abstract as a concrete thing. It attunes the ear of the soul and body to the voice of God. Trance, clairaudience, and clairvoyance come under its influence. It is through this ray that spirit messages are delivered to mankind, and the ray that Yeshua uttered his earthly teachings under its inspiration. Our lifeblood is red, as a lasting symbol of the lifeblood of spirit, which is the beauty and mysticism of God. Makhimsi is known as the Buddha and Lord of the fifth solar plane and controller of the golden creative ray. This ray works through all the others, as the creative essences are necessary for each ray before they can work in their fullness. It is generated in the great towers of the fifth solar plane, and before it leaves these towers is impregnated by 12 glances from the silver ray. The golden ray falls as golden rain upon the universe, and sinks as rain into the necessary parts. This ray acts upon every type of life, human, plant, and animal. In human life, the creative ray places a tiny golden drop into the womb of the mother at conception, making a pathway of light for the little feet of the waiting soul. It unites the fertile male and female plasma. It acts upon the brain with the outflow of invention, knowledge, creative handwork, and so on. When it becomes apparent to those of the fifth plane that there is a germ of an idea working in the brain of a human, but that germ needs fertilization, the ray is directed upon the cranium of this person, where it breaks and a fragment of golden essence sinks into the brain, contacting the seed of the thought or idea and causing it to glow with the flow of life. The idea in the brain is born into fullness, and the result is a fresh invention given to the world. All beautiful objects are under its protection. All works of art, all wonderful music, all color, all smiles and laughter of babes, all caresses of lovers, all come under its guidance. Mahaya is Lord of the sixth solar plane and controller of the indigo ray of knowledge. It is generated in the powerhouses of the fifth solar plane, then deflected and passes through the silver ray before it reaches the planets. This flecks the indigo with silver, and it reaches us as stardust, much in appearance as a separate beam of the night sky. Without this ray, we would all be a collective of imbeciles, for it acts firstly on the pineal gland, and from there to mind and heart. The heart is a seat of learning as well as the brain. It is in the heart that we learn to love. It is in the heart that mysticism is imbibed. It is in the heart that we find God. The brain is only the annex of the soul. In a concentrated degree, it produces scientists, mathematicians, theologians, and the like. Knowledge is the handmaiden of love, yet under the corruption of this ray do many cults work. Unless the pursuit of knowledge is combined with the love of our God and Father, learning can be dangerous and useless. Lord Ahura, known to us as King Arthur, is Lord of the seventh solar plane and controller of the amethyst ray of perfume. Generated on the seventh solar plane, it leaves that plane in rainbow tints, the amethyst color predominating, and wings its sweet and perfumed way to the silver one, who breathes his silver essence into it and sends it forth on its journey to the planets. The Lord of Perfume works closely with the Lord of Nature Growth. When Lord Ethereal develops a new blossom for God, it is taken to the plane of Ahura to be impregnated with the perfume ray. If this did not take place, our flowers would have no perfume. Perfume is a necessity to all life, both human and spirit. All sweet flowers are the reflections of the breath of Josias. When you inhale their perfume, you literally inhale the breath of Josias interblended with that of Ahura. Perfume, above all, is the breath of the eternal oneness. A sigh from his divine heart reaches us in a fragrance of lily. A glance of his glorious eyes reaches us in the faint perfume of the forget-me-not. A touch of his dear hands reaches us in the perfume of the deep-hearted rose. Where there is beauty, there is perfume, be it in a bloom or in the tiny breaths of a babe, or in the gentle character of a man and woman. For character has perfume too, and kindliness carries the fragrance of verbena. Rahal, known to us as Archangel Raphael, is Lord of the eighth solar plane and controller of the white blue-speckled medical ray. The white is the silver ray of Josias, and the blue specks are particles of magnetism and electricity. This ray is one of the busiest for the good in service of God. It is generated unlike any other, in the seed essence of the silver radium ray, which then directs it in full flood to Rahal and the eighth solar plane, and from there is projected through the universe to all planets. It pours in abundance upon healers, hospitals, lonely sickbeds, and all who suffer. Its greatest earth help is prayer, for the prayer of the sick acts in a magnetic manner upon the ray, drawing it towards all those prayed for, and bending the ray towards the sufferer upon the elasticity of love. Large bands of healers are attached to this ray in spirit, as well as earth workers. When an earth worker works under its loving essence, a blue light can be seen emanating from the fingertips. It is an essence from the Godhead sent out in utter love for the suffering of children of his heart, and only a God who loves could send his great mercy to sufferers. When many humans say, "It is the will of God," it is a false absurdity. Rather, they should say, "It is the doing of myself." Anatta is Lord of the ninth solar plane and controller of the royal blue ray of magnetism, heat, and electricity. It is generated through the help of the silver ray, the creative ray, and the medical ray. These three rays send out to the generating towers upon the ninth plane, and then Anatta breathes on the mass and the ray is born. From that moment, it is sent forth in powerful flashes to the planets. It is chemical in formation and radium abounds in it, as does electricity, which is the outcome of the escape of vitality from the Godhead. The magnetic part of the ray causes the moisture in the clouds to freeze, and rather that we should be hurt by the falling of solid ice, Anatta wills it that it falls as gentle snow. Our infrared rays, X-rays, violet rays, and so on are all permitted to work through the ninth ray, though all are individual rays. It protects our planet with highly charged belts of electric voltage and keeps the planets revolving on their axis. Without it, we would cease to exist, for it is the blue magnetism which binds all the particles of our bodies into a cohesive whole. Lord Kahana is Lord of the 10th solar plane and controller of the pale blue ray of recording and foresight. This ray is not transmitted through the universe. It remains in the 10th solar planes, for it is not for the use of mankind or our benefit. It is the logbook of the eternal and records every thought and feeling, even the falling of one of the hairs of your head. The ray is sent by Kahana for the blessing of the Silver One, before he makes use of it for recording. It is lightly touched upon by the yellow ray of sight and the indigo ray of knowledge. It acts in its fullness as a great mirror, which reflects before the eyes of the adept all the happenings, whether mind and body, in all the planets. The ray is pale blue in color now, but in its primary state it was a deep cornflower blue. It is dimmed from the tears of the recording angel at the foolish and ignorant doings of man. Each of us has the power to grasp the great silver sponge of love to wipe away from the records the account of our own follies, but only through the great love of Josias can it be done. The ray also enables men and women to partake in the gift of foresight, to see visions and read the past. Azrael is Lord of the 11th solar plane and controller of the dark green ray of art, music and color. The ray is born in much the same manner as the other cosmic rays, through the silver ray, and sent out from its generating tower on the 11th plane. Art, music and color, the three great outward expressions of the Godhead, are in reality one subject, for all are color. Art is the earthly expression of color, music is the soul's expression of love, and color is of God. The Eternal One holds the cosmic palette upon which are mixed all the pigments of his divine mind, to be mixed in different forms as art and music. All works of great art, a beauteous picture, or the harmonies of an exquisite symphony come from the mind of Azrael. The dark green ray was once a deep blue in color, but mankind has so endeavored to produce and manufacture an art of his own kind that the cosmic essences of the ray do no longer vibrate and revolve at such great speed owing to planetary influence. Azrael guards and guides all the great artists of earth, whether in painting, sculpture or music. The ray reflects the everlasting one in his majesty, sweetness and beauty. His voice is echoed in a sweet tone. His thoughts reach us in colors, and these thoughts, working through the ray, produce our great works of art. Thus is the triple gifted ray one in its attributes, each attribute a facet of the mind of God. Lord Mikaal, known to us as Archangel Michael, is Lord of the 12th solar plane and controller of the lapis blue ray of power and rulership. This ray is interblended with the silver ray of Josias, and they draw their very substance from one another. It is generated in the great pinnacle tower on the 12th plane, then passes by way of the silver ray first, then through all the other 10 rays to reach the planets as a sword of strength. The ray is capable of a fan-wise action, to include a whole race or a nation in its beam. And sometimes the fan closes to permit the ray to concentrate on one especial being. Kings and princes and rulers come within this ray. Mercy, justice and sympathy are its handmaidens, and even temper, great rulership and love are its fruits. The blue and silver are the two great footstools of the Godhead, and the two most vital essences upon which hangs the universe. The blue ray guards and protects the beloved silver one with a love undreamt of by us mortals. The silver light was withdrawn on Calvary, causing darkness on the land, and only with the eternal glory of his resurrection did the lapis blue eyes open again to the beauty of the world. In the center of the rays is the solar Logos, who is the great cosmic messenger of God. God's commands are given to the 12 sons of the cosmic rays through the solar Logos. That great solitary being, yet companion of God, is the mouthpiece which imparts the God message. This beloved Son of God dwells right in the center of the solar planes. He dwells near to God, and owing to this nearness, takes to himself the 12 great cosmic essences within himself. He holds the lines of communication of all the solar planes. If there is a special need for some particular work for the solar planes to do, the solar Logos is the person who receives that message from God, and then proceeds to get in touch with one or all of the adepts. Think of the sun, then think of the solar Logos in the center. One might say that he is the word of the sun. Logos, from the Greek meaning word, his word for God, which controls the solar planes. From his 12 fingers, he holds the lines of communication to God. Without him, the solar planes would be as a clock without a mechanism. Thus completes this short description of the cosmic rays from the solar planes. All creation is from the mind and heart of God. Many think of God as omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient, a nebulous, formless being. Yet he is not a being without form. In outline, his children are like him. His dear eyes are the blueness of the eternal heavens. His beloved smile encircles each human heart, and whose divine breath, the soul, the animating principle encased within the human heart, is part of us, and without which we could not be. God is pure spirit. From his heart of love were born the souls of all his children. He is the one that breathed us all into being, and to whom we shall return one day. Claim your kinship with God. He longs and waits for the love of his tiny children. May his peace be with us all.